Elaine has a problem.
Hello?
You have 57 messages. Message 1. Message 2.
It turns out that Kramer had signed up for this newfangled restaurant menus by fax service, but used Elaine's phone number, mistakenly thinking she had a fax machine. To stop the constant barrage of faxes, Elaine has no choice but to change her phone number.
All right, Miss Bennis, all finished. Here's your new number.
646, what is this?
That's your new area code.
I thought 646 was just for new numbers.
This is a new number.
No, it's not a new number. It's just a changed number.
She has lost her precious 212 area code. The consequences began quite quickly.
You're probably one of those women who doesn't like to give out her number.
No, I'm not. Here you go.
646.
It's a new area code.
What area? New Jersey?
No, it's right here in the city. It's the same as 212. They just multiplied it by 3. And then they added 1 to the middle number. It's the same.
Do I have to dial a 1 first? I'm really kind of seeing somebody.
Yeah? Well, so am I!
Some area codes are clearly cooler than others. Miami-born singer Pitbull calls himself Mr. 305, thus appropriating South Florida's original area code to the chagrin of those South Floridians not huge fans of his work. I'm one of those. Snoop Dogg, Warren G, and Nate Dogg named their hip-hop supergroup 213 based on their Long Beach, California area code. Many Vermonters wear 802 on their t-shirts and hats, which is their state's sole area code. There are services out there that provide virtual phone numbers with desirable area codes for a monthly fee. Area codes are cultural identifiers of a sort, and they have a fascinating history. Three-digit area codes were originally implemented in the late 1940s. The overarching design objective was to minimize the time required for the era's electromechanical switches and relays to complete each telephone call. Two decisions made at that time and for that reason resulted in the eventually iconic area codes we know and love. One was that the second digit of all area codes would be either a 0 or a 1, as in 305 and 212. And the second digit of all prefixes, the first 3 of the 7 local numbers, would never be a 0 or a 1. This convention clearly differentiated prefixes and area codes from each other and allowed the switches to recognize as soon as a second number was entered whether an area code or a prefix was being dialed. The switches then knew, so to speak, to expect only 5 more numbers in the case of a prefix and 8 more in the case of an area code, so they were able to complete each call and be available for the next one faster. The other decision that was made was based on the rotary dial systems of the time. Yes, kids, on a rotary phone, it took much longer to dial a 9 than to dial a 1. For that reason, densely populated New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Detroit, which had high incoming call volume, were assigned the area codes which took the least time to dial: 212, 312, 213, and 313. Sparsely populated areas with lower incoming call volumes received area codes that took longer to dial. This elegant design lasted all the way into the 1990s, when, due to proliferation of fax machines and later cell phones, the demand for telephone numbers was increasing rapidly. In other countries, this increased demand was addressed by adding more digits to phone numbers. But here in the United States, it was done by adding more area codes and leaving phone number length intact. But more area codes could not be added while still adhering to the 0 and 1 second digit scheme, so it was abandoned. Area codes were allowed to have middle digits other than 0 and 1, and prefixes were permitted to have 0 and 1 as their middle digits. This change allowed the addition of exponentially more telephone numbers, but area codes and prefixes could no longer be distinguished by the switching equipment. The not quite elegant solution was to require the dialing of a preceding 1 for calls across area codes, in which case the equipment knew to expect an area code followed by a 7-digit number. If the first digit dialed was not a 1, only 7 digits were expected and the area code was inferred from the caller's area code. Here again, younger watchers may be scratching their heads regarding the preceding 1. It only applies to landlines, not mobile phones. Since cell phones send the entire number to the network at once, not one number at a time like landlines, the preceding 1 was never necessary for them. As area codes were added to the system, in some cases existing area codes were split. An example is South Florida, where the area code 305 initially covered both Dade and Broward counties, but in 1995 was split, with Broward County assigned the area code 954. The splitting of area codes was widely criticized due to the cost to businesses of updating stationery, business cards, etc., so most of the subsequent area code additions were implemented not by split, but instead by overlay, where the area code in operation would continue for existing numbers, but new numbers would be assigned the new area code. In New York City, for example, 917 was overlaid on the 212 region in 1992, and to Elaine's consternation, 646 was overlaid there in 1999. Here in South Florida, area code 786 was overlaid on the 305 region in 1998. Area code overlay brought another unwelcome development. In areas where there have been overlays, 7-digit dialing is gone. We need to dial the area code plus the phone number on all calls, even when calling local numbers in the same area code. This makes sense from a technical standpoint when dialing from one area code to another, but is not technically necessary when dialing within the same area code. However, the carriers realized that new subscribers assigned the less desirable overlay area code would be upset that existing subscribers would have to dial 10 digits to reach them, while only dialing 7 to reach people or businesses within the established area code. So they decided to just mitigate the issue by inconveniencing everyone equally. Overlays have diluted the direct association of specific area codes with geographic locations, thus reducing their cultural significance. Furthermore, people seldom enter telephone numbers directly these days and instead select contacts or ask digital assistants to call people. For these and other reasons, the iconic nature of area codes is inexorably waning, and sadly, 212, 305, and their ilk will mean nothing to future generations. But the digits 305 will always hold a special place in my heart, only somewhat tarnished by Pitbull's shameless appropriation. I'm Jack Azoo. Thank you for watching.
Introduce, Mr. 3, yeah, oh, yeah, bang. Hop in the bucket and hold there. Hop in the bucket and hold there. Hop in the bucket and hold there.